Hello, all, and welcome back to a new episode of TV and Us, a conversation show about the TV series we just can't stop talking about. My name is Jennifer Hahn.
And I'm Sarah Callan.
And each season we focus on a different show, reviewing it episode by episode, and we invite you to watch along with us. Right now, we are reviewing The Sopranos Season 2, and today we are on episode 9, titled From Where to Eternity. If you haven't watched this episode yet, go watch it, come back, listen to the rest of our conversation. Sarah, IMDb summary for episode 9.
After a brush with death leaves a crew member hospitalized, Tony navigates rising tensions at home and among the crew as faith, fear, and superstition unsettle the family.
Superstition has arrived, and it's affecting many of our characters, including Polly.
Yes.
Okay, well, episode titles for Season 2, Episode 9. What is yours?
My title is Positive Vibes Only.
Nice. That was one of my candidates, too. It's because no one's in a good place.
No, definitely.
Episode.
There's a lot of negative vibes floating around here.
Yeah. My episode title is St. Patrick's Day.
It's so good. Oh, man. Well done.
Yep. Okay. Well, let's dive in. There's so many different strands of this episode, as with any episode of The Sopranos, but I would say, like, it's interesting because I feel like in the plot itself, some big things happen, and then honestly, like, it's a lot of like emotional development that happens over the course of this episode. So tell me your thoughts about episode 9. Was it expected, unexpected, and some of the things that happen?
Yeah, I think the other interesting piece of this episode is like better understanding some of the characters too,
Yeah.
even seeing the contrast in how the different people respond to this really traumatic event, when a loved one is in the hospital. That's a scary time, and you learn a lot about yourself and others when you're having to like confront that situation.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see the different ways that the people within this family are responding to this event and what we can learn about their character and what motivates them and everything. And so I think that that's an interesting piece of it too. Some of the guys wanting to do something and have something to do, Carmela going and praying, and Holly's superstition too is really interesting in all of this as well. So I love that we get these extra little insights into who some of these people are as they are dealing with the aftermath of this very dramatic and traumatic thing that has happened.
Yeah. The characters are all pressed in a really big way, and ultimately having to face a lot of parts of themselves. I think Polly is like particularly interesting in light of some of the other things that Tony says to Dr. Melfi around this code and trying to clear his conscience. But there's very clearly so much guilt that Polly's feeling and experiencing, all of the things that he's done catching up with him. And he goes on a very familiar set of pendulum swings over the course of this episode of feeling the guilt, trying to take action about it, but then ultimately landing in this like overly positive state of delusion, and believing in 6,000 years in purgatory that's gonna go by in just a couple of days here, and so I think that's fascinating to see his way of processing his guilt, his trauma, these negative feelings, is to move towards positive platitudes almost, and delusion. And we see that Tony kind of has more of a propensity towards like getting spiraled into the negative feelings that we've seen over the course of previous seasons. So I think that's just like an interesting aspect of how each of these characters are wired and how they process and deal with hard things. And we get to see all different combinations of those things in this episode. So Polly's guilt and the way that he has to face it is an interesting part of this episode. But again, I really think Polly's character is so interesting because he's played to be this comedic relief. It's very light, but there's a lot of meat there as well, in all of the fun bits of getting to see him explore this like summoning of the dead.
Yeah, and I think it's also interesting that, you know, when Christopher is finally awake, the people that he asks for are Polly and Tony.
Yeah,
And it just made me think of season one, you know, when Christopher was at that really, really low point, and it was Polly who went and visited with him and kind of picked him back up again. So
yeah.
seeing that bond between Christopher and Polly, I think is also really interesting because I think they're more alike maybe than they seem initially on the surface because
Mm,
Polly is kind of this silly old man in a lot of ways. I mean, there are times when he is kind of terrifying, but he is that comedic relief a lot of the time, whereas Christopher is this like loose cannon. But kind of at the core of their being, I think the two are pretty similar. So it's just interesting that they seem to see themselves in
mm.
each other and have that like deeper connection. So I loved that. I love that little detail.
It was so sweet, so very sweet. I think it's so endearing when we see moments where Tony is incredibly soft and tender. He goes in, embraces Christopher so gently and kisses him on the forehead. You know, it's so, he's this big, terrifying man, but he's a softie as well. And it's this episode, particularly, we get to see many of the contrasts within Tony. I thought his apology to AJ was particularly impressive, you know, um, owned his mistake, understood how it would make AJ feel, and seeking to like commit to do better. Like, well done, and seemed so genuine and heartfelt about it. Wanting to spend time with him and talk through this thing that he knows he messed up. It was shocking for me to see. I'm like, the man's making progress, you know? He's willing to humble himself and come and apologize to his son when he's done wrong. And that tenderness is so interestingly contrasted with like two scenes later where he needs to go take a guy out. And the brutality of that out of love for Christopher is also so much a part of that. So it's fascinating to see two sides of the same coin of Tony's care for the people that he loves, but that also means the intensity of his vengeance will be just as terrifying and savage in the name of justice.
Yeah, and I just love that we get that long apology scene too, because
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about it all the time. You know, the media that we consume helps like shape how we see the world. And so
Yeah.
having that model of a parent apologizing to a kid, I think is really important because you don't see that a lot. So I think that that's a really important thing to show, not just for like the character growing, but just for like us as human beings. Um and the other thing that I think is fascinating about Tony in this episode is his relationship with Salvatore. And
Oh,
just,
yeah.
yeah, that that
Oh,
moment when Salvatore is questioning and thinks, oh, is Tony's on to me, but then they end up going and taking out the goober just by themselves, and Tony dismissing Furio from that equation. So it's just him and Salvatore. And then they
yeah.
go and share that meal together. So I find it really interesting, some of these moves that Tony is making. We know more than Tony does, but maybe Tony knows more than we think he does. So I think it's just interesting to think about, like, what does Tony know about Salvatore and his betrayal? How much does Tony know right now? Because we don't know that. So I think that's going to be a really interesting thing that could be developed over the next few episodes. Uh, yeah, it's not going to end well, but you know what? It's really entertaining to watch.
Oh, yeah, even that look I think that Tony has when he gets the call from Salvatore and Salvatore happens to know exactly where the kid is. It's him following the instructions from Skip, like make him love you. And so Tony's just like, I see what you're doing here. I see you overcompensating. But the Sopranos always gives us quite a lot of information as the audience of what all of the characters know about each other, and we're clued into a lot, but what does Tony know or not know about Salvatore, like you mentioned, really is something that's unknown to us. And so that's thrilling. And I think that'll be interesting to see how much has he known all along whenever that comes to fruition. I'm curious to know, The
Mhm.
scenes with the two of them together are so tragic.
I loved when they're eating and Salvatore says, "Seems like old times," and Tony doesn't answer him. And so it's this like
Ah,
there seems to be this closeness and they are doing this little project together. They took out the dude together, but
yeah.
it's not like old times. So I don't know, I'm intrigued. There's these little tiny things that I'm like, it's not adding up fully to me. So I'm so curious what Tony knows. We're going to find out eventually, but I would like
I
to know
know.
right now.
And is it strong suspicion or
Mhm.
confident awareness
Yeah.
as well? Like that is going to be interesting for us too. Yeah. It it it's neat having a character, a protagonist that we trust. Like our base assumption sounds like for both of us is like to assume Tony knows more than he's letting on. And that's really fun for us to have a character that we're like, we know that there's competency, there's awareness, and there's like such insight and wisdom that like this character is not being fooled that we are following, versus truly not really feeling confident that our protagonist knows what's going on. It's fun to watch a character that we trust and wait for the juicy time where it all is going to get revealed.
Yeah, yeah. Even if he doesn't know everything, we know that Tony is aware of things and I don't know. He he tends to be right so far about a lot of things. So, yeah, it's fun to watch.
Hmm. I do love the scene with Salvatore and Skip. It seems he is not changing course. He's committing down this path that he is started on, but I love when he's just so incredibly paranoid. It's a really funny moment because
Mhm.
he's like, and then he grabbed the eggplant sandwich, and I think he's on to me. And I think um, when you are being dishonest, you are so
Mhm.
paranoid about everything around you. That is such a relatable experience that you're like, oh, they're on to me, and he is obviously doing one of the biggest acts of betrayal. So, like, of course, everything feels terrifying to him. Every
Mhm.
little glance feels like he's about to be found out because he's terrified and he's scared. So, I thought that was a really great, like, humanizing moment for Sal and just
Mhm.
the experience of when you are dishonest. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, yeah. So in the gosh, was that just the previous episode? No, that was 2 episodes ago where he was just weeping in the bathroom. We got this really tender emotional moment from Salvatore. We've seen him blowing up at people again, misplaced emotions coming out as anger, and now we see the guilt and the paranoia. So I do like that we're seeing so many different things out of Salvatore. Even though he is betraying Tony, he is betraying the family. There's still he still feels like a human who's doing these things, not this like villainized caricature of somebody, but we're seeing the way that choosing to be a rat would eat away at you, and that is a really fascinating thing to think about.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, it's a different kind of stress, and oh, it's a ticking time bomb. I'm really, really scared for it. Okay, well, we've got to talk about the continued rise of Carmela.
Honestly, it's the roller coaster of Carmela in this episode.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, is it a rise? I don't. I think she's doing her rise in the way that she thinks she needs to do her rise. Tell me your thoughts about Carmela's choices this episode.
Oh, she is such an interesting character.
Yeah, I
Like,
love
oh
her.
my gosh, I just
So
wow.
chaotic.
so chaotic in this episode. Ma'am, I need you to just chill out. But even that is interesting. You know, a loved one has a near death experience, and she is just all over the place in the response to that. And so even that I think is really interesting.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I'm curious to see where they take her, because again, going back to like a few episodes ago with Janice's assessment of this world, and it's the Madonna whore equation, and Carmela is definitely in the Madonna
Yeah.
category.
Yeah.
Um, but if her children are grown, you know, is she still a Madonna then, or is she
Mhm.
nothing? And so it might be interesting, kind of her making these calculations through that equation and going, this is how I have value, and this is how I can control Tony. So I'm
It's
just,
genius.
yeah, and awful. So I'm like,
Terrible,
Carmela,
yes.
please no.
Sorry, to
We can have
clarify.
the rise of Carmela in a different way. We can do something else. So I'm curious
Yeah.
to see where the show takes her, because that would definitely be an interesting route to go as she is seeking to find herself and her place in this world when she's becoming less and less needed as her kids grow. So it's interesting. I'm curious where we go.
Yeah, this is not how I wanted it for her, but I think it's kind of a genius move on her part. Not this is not an endorsement of her behavior, okay, to clarify. But she's looking at the card she has to play as a woman in this world. And the card she has to play is to secure her position, is to be the mother of his children. That will always tie her to him. And that she sees that as her only path to maintain the position that she has in relationship to Tony, who is the key influencing player in this world that she wants to stay in. And so I think her like very explicit I may want to have another baby is like her way of just saying like I want to continue to tie myself in the like the literal biological ways that I can that are undeniable, lest I be tossed away and forgotten as he moves on once the children are out the door. You know, it's such a fascinating way to see her feeling like her only option is to use her womanhood to try and maintain her power or her influence in this world. It's so genius of the show to write it in this way because it's revealing of what Carmela believes about herself and what she has to offer. Um, but it also is such a it's just so tragic too to watch as a fellow woman. Just be like this woman feels like this is the only thing that she has to give. So I don't know. I think it's for honestly the place that Carmela is in this world right now. It's kind of a strong strategy for her, for lack of a better word. But that's like just like we mourn the fact that that is her only strategy that she perceives to have. So uh, genius move. I don't know. The fact that she's thinking about this so much too is notable. So the rise of Carmela is brewing. It might happen in some weird ways, but that's the show's commentary on like gender roles, gender dynamics,
Mhm.
and the powers that each gender feels like they have or are limited by.
Yeah, and I think the emphasis on that in this season is very fascinating because
Yeah.
we've had quite a number of episodes so far this season that are really focused on what is a woman's place in this world. And I very much appreciate that. I didn't expect that from The Sopranos. I definitely expected this to be like more like of a male dominated show.
Yeah.
But we have so many strong female characters that are asserting their agency and doing what they can to navigate this world. So I appreciate that awareness of this show, to include them and to make these women really interesting to follow too. Just as interesting as the men, sometimes even more interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the show's doing it in a way that is like not diluted in the very real limitations of the gender roles too. I just think about how like so many women may experience, not that they're in the same position that Carmela is, being married to the mob head, but that universal feeling distilled down, which is, what is my purpose now? Like I became a wife, I became a mother. She doesn't seem to have a career. And so like her identity is so tied up in caring for the family. And when that is feeling like it's starting to be lost, she's becoming an empty nester, the children going away to college, it really shakes your world, where you just question and think about like what do I have to give, you know? And for her, her one area that she's always been able to have a sense of identity is being a caretaker of the family. And so of course that is the thing that she's going to hold on to as well. But I know it's an experience that like I've seen my mom go through and family friends' moms go through, just like when the kids are out all of a sudden, they have all this love to give. I think hers is a little bit more skewed, of course, but with power and influence as well. But there's something about that of like the seasons are changing and shifting, and all of a sudden, gosh, I need to do something about it.
Yeah, I think another interesting piece of it is in the previous episode, it was really quick, but before Richie comes in and sees the jacket and everything, Carmela is just sketching.
Her
She's
son,
drawing. And I'm just like, oh, Carmela, are we developing a hobby maybe? Like, do you have some like hidden talents here that we're just unaware of? So I'm really hoping that Carmela gets a hobby. That makes her feel fulfilled and happy. But that's not where the show is going to go.
it's weird because she was sketching AJ's like school
I mean,
portrait.
do what you got to do. I don't care, man. You enjoy that hobby. If drawing makes you happy, you can draw your son's face. Go for it. I don't care. Find your bliss, Carmela.
Yeah. Okay, other big things that we wanted to mention in this episode.
Um,
Yeah.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say two quick things. Christopher's hallucination, dream,
Mhm.
guilt catching up to him. Christopher's, I think, going to be an interesting trajectory now for his character, what they do with him. Like, is he turned back on his ways? Is he committing harder? Is he going to get really dependent on the morphine and like be really messed? I think there's some foreshadowing with when Polly and Tony leave, and Polly's like, man, they really got like that kid. You know how much that kid loves his chemistry sets, you know, and I think there's some foreshadowing there of like, this is not going to be good for this guy that's already has propensity to and his body's already kind of hooked on this thing. So I don't know. I feel like I'm not hopeful about this character's arc. But I think there's a fascinating point there that the show's looking to start to move the wheels on.
Mhm.
Yeah, tell me about your thoughts about that before I bring the second one up.
No, I think the another piece of that is when Carmela comes in and is talking to Christopher, and he is hitting that morphine button so much.
Yeah.
And so that was the other thought. I had that similar thought in that scene of like, yikes, because morphine is good stuff. You get hooked on that though.
Yeah.
So especially uh in the previous episode, Christopher even said he was like, he's done with the drugs, he's done with all of this, he's turning his life around, he's gonna be focused, which is the perfect setup for everything to go wrong. So yeah, I'm preparing myself for everything to go wrong.
It's gonna be bad. I think it's gonna
Yeah.
be really bad. We've already seen him like descending down this path and enjoying his goodies, but to have that much of it flooding your brain, I think is, oh, it's gonna be so bad. And then Adriana's just gonna be collateral damage. It's not gonna be good, and it's gonna wreck Tony.
I'm so sad about her. I just I just want
She
to
loves
protect
to
her. I
just
just want to like wrap her in bubble wrap. Like no one hurt Adriana, but she has hitched her wagon to this horse, and here we go.
she really loves him.
She
It's
really
so
does.
genuine.
Uh, it's fine.
Uh,
Okay, what's your other little thing?
the other thing is that they're really making Dr. Melfi just this like lost little girl this season, and
I hate it. I hate it
I'm
so
not a
much.
fan of it. I really, yeah. There's so much there's so much Dr. Melfi weirdness in this episode, both in her sessions with Tony, but also her sessions after her sessions with Tony. Yeah, tell me your thoughts about how they're writing Dr. Melfi's character arc, because I think it's taking an interesting turn.
Yeah, I hate it. Man, I don't it makes for some interesting TV and for a character doing just bonkers things, but I don't get it. I'm like, why are we doing this? Do we have to do this? Um I don't know. I'm so curious where they're going to take this character cuz she has chosen this and it's eating her up. She's self-medicating, which at least she told her therapist, so that at least is
Mm,
good. She's not hiding it, but I'm like, this is not good for you. And the whole reason why she took Tony back again was for herself and to like make
I
herself
know.
feel better. And I just it's all bad. So I she is another one of those characters where I'm like, this is not going to end well for you. And it's just I hate to see it. I don't I don't enjoy watching the Dr. Melfi moments, which is really interesting because in the first season, I loved the Dr. Melfi moments. I thought that they were so interesting, fascinating part of the show. And this season, I'm like, oh no, we're back with Dr. Melfi.
It's not good. It's also tragic because it feels like she was one of the few people that could really speak into Tony's life and
Mm-hmm.
help him and help him identify and grow and become better. And she's not helping him anymore. It's it was previously so for him, and now it's turned to be like for herself, which is just not
Yeah,
good. So yeah, rough.
yeah, it's
I
really
hate that
rough.
plot line now.
So
But
who
has
knows where we're
acknowledged.
gonna go next with her?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yikes.
yeah, not good. Okay, TV Us Awards, shall we? Anything else that you want to mention?
I want to give two
Okay.
quick little shout outs. This episode was written by Michael Imperioli, who plays Christopher. So I thought that that was really
That was
interesting.
really cool.
And then just shout out to the Otis Redding song all throughout this episode. The episode started, and I was like, yes, my guy, let's go. I'm here for this, which is such an interesting like musical choice because The Sopranos usually doesn't they Sopranos usually stays in a particular lane with the music choices, and Otis is way far outside of that lane. So it was just such a notable shift in the music and a really different tone than we're used to seeing with the show, which I thought was just a welcome, lovely addition.
And they use a lot of really cool Scorsese tactics,
Mm-hmm.
as well of pairing like something that's really incredibly violent with like this like really fun, like lively music on top that's poppy, that's bright, and that contrast is really jarring to see and experience.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, yeah. So good. Okay, let's give out some TV and OS awards. So the first category is most family oriented. What is your choice for this one?
My choice is Carmela for asking Tony to get a vasectomy. Just looking out for the family, though. There's no personal stakes in it. It's just looking out for the family
Until it's all about
until
herself.
not. But yeah,
She wants a baby.
that was a great high point. I was like, yes, Carmela, this is a good idea for the good of the family.
That's a good choice. My choice for this one is Tony's apology to AJ.
Oh, it was so
10
sweet.
10. Well done. Okay, next category is most explosive moment. What's your choice for this one?
I want to give this to Polly's psychic experience.
Oh my god. Oh, when he gets scammed.
Oh, so good.
He's so endearing. Why
He
is he the
is.
most endearing character on this show? Oh, great choice. My choice for most explosive moment is finding out Christopher died for a minute.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, double meaning dialogue. What is your choice for this one?
I want to give this to Dr. Melfi's therapist, who says, I feel for you. I was like, that is
So coded.
75% judgment, 25% empathy.
Yeah, that's generous. So good job. That's good. My choice for this one is Carmela to Tony. Did you hear about Ralphie Rutaldo?
His face during that whole conversation is so funny. His like one word answers to her too.
No.
Oh, so good.
Followed by Carmela, we cannot do this like teary eyed till 3 a.m. thing again. No, I can't do it tonight. um, all right, looking ahead, what are you excited to see next?
Yeah, Olivia, our girl,
Yeah,
not in this
she up to.
episode. Uh Junior, also not in this episode. So
Mhm.
what is going on with them? What are we cooking up over there? Like we talk with Salvatore, all that stuff is really interesting. Rise of Carmela always. Um and yeah, just I'm curious to see kind of what happens with Polly. You know, I feel like we got to see quite a bit of him in this episode, and kind of that guilt and how he's processing through all of that. And will that lead to any change in behavior, or are we just going to keep doing what we've been doing because he has this purgatory equation and so he's good?
Mhm.
So I'm curious where we're going to go with him because we spend so much time with him in this episode.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And like everything is used for something in the show. So all of those little moments of like, ah, we've spent so much time with AJ. Why? It all is serving towards a larger purpose. So yeah, that's good. Um, I'm interested to see what Junior and Richie are doing. Like, we haven't seen them in quite a bit. I just love seeing Richie on screen. I'm not gonna lie, it's thrilling to me. So I just want more Richie. How is Janice part of their little crew, their little trio, or how are they scheming? Um, Salvatore taking time bomb with Tony. I think that one's waiting to drop soon. I just wonder how long this show is going to drag some of these storylines on for. I think that's interesting too. Um, this is not only like I'm interested to see these things, but also when we're going to get them because they might not be wrapped by the end of season 2. I don't know. Um, Carmela, what is happening? What is happening with the rise of Carmela? So the show seems like really intrigued by her constantly, and I'm very intrigued by that. So always curious to see what Carmela's up to. I think those are my main few. Obviously, Olivia. Our usuals like Janice. There's so many characters that are scheming and doing things and making moves. Can't even list them all. So we'll see what happens next.
Yeah, basically everybody.
I
Everyone is
think we just
scheming in their own way. Everyone is making moves.
like I think in our looking ahead sections we just list every character on the show. You know?
Basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's usually like, okay, these characters weren't in this episode. So
What is
will we
happening with
get to
them?
see them in the next episode? I want to know what they've been up to cuz Richie is up to something crazy. I want to know what it is. Which what a testament to the Sopranos though. Like to create that desire in us as the audience to be like, where is this character? I haven't seen Junior in 2 episodes. I need to find out what's going on with Junior. Like, I don't know, just what great writing to create that need, you know? I need to know what's going on because you withheld this character for 2 episodes. I have to learn what he's doing now.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
How rude. Well, and it's the interesting thing is like in the episode we just watched, there's characters that make really bold choices. So we're like, well, what's going to happen with that? And
Mhm.
then there's all the characters that we didn't see that we're also like, well, we haven't seen them. So both of those things therefore means we just list all of the characters of the show. We're like, what's going to happen with their story arc?
We need
We'll
to
see
know.
episode 2. Yeah. All right, well, this is our review and discussion of season 2, episode 9. You can find available on HBO Max. Thank you for listening to today's episode of TV and Us. Our name sums it up. We're big fans of TV and the powerful ways we connect with each other and the world around us. This podcast is about all of us and our shared stories, so everyone is welcome here. And we're so glad you spent time with us today as we continue our journey through The Sopranos season 2. You can subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you tune to your favorite shows. Drop us a rating and review. Let us know your thoughts about this 9th episode and what you're hoping to see next as we head towards this end of the season. You can connect with us on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at TVNSPod, or email us at tvnspod@gmail.com. Check out our website, andusmedia.co, for the latest on TV and Us and our other podcast, Movies and Us. We are a part of the Movie Archer podcast network, so go check out more at moviearcher.com to learn more. Well, we have to find out what is happening with all of our characters, so we will be back soon to discuss episode 10. We hope you have an amazing week, and we'll talk again with y'all very soon.